to, like, some of you made some mistakes here and there, so where you went wrong, and how to improve upon it, because there are so many other assessments which is coming. So to do that, and then we follow with the class, today's class, followed with just little this question answer session, and then you have uh, a work to do on the Google Classroom. So after the with this class, the class that we have, so after that you just open your Google Classroom, and then you will start working on it. I've still not posted on the Google Classroom, so you will not be able to see anything at this moment. I'll do it at the end of the class. Okay, so just to talk about your case analysis. Now, like quite a lot of you, the major mistake that came up is I had repeatedly told you that please see the marking criteria, right? The marking criteria did say about solution and recommendation, right? So when you were doing your analysis, like some of you have really done it, that you've analyzed, you've identified the problems that is there, and then you did give me the recommendation, and what the probable recommendation is from your side. And then you also said the second part was what alternative solution, what alternative ways could have been done that to solve address the issue the CEO could have done. So you all have done that. So for those who have given me the recommendation, have written it in a proper way, that's where you scored the marks. Some of you did give me recommendation, but it was one sentence, just a sentence or a couple of two sentences, but and it should have been a little more organized way. So that's again where you lost your marks. Now, for some of you, when you identified, when you didn't analyze the case, what you'll do is most of you scored like 5 up there, and but some of you've lost marks where you just wrote one sentence or two sentences, and it was just very casual. To me, it looked like, okay, it was just superficial. There was no in-depth onto it. So you need to see it. Okay, you see when the question is there, and my question was there, like within brackets, the first question within bracket, I did say that you need to analyze the case with recommendation. That was there. You need to analyze it. Okay, so you should have been a little careful with that. I did say, please be careful with the marking criteria, with the question. So for those who have been careful and have been working onto it, they did it. Some of you did it, but it was not so organized. So that's again where you lost marks. And for some, you did not talk about any recommendation, and there you lost quite a lot of marks. So this was basically my feedback onto your class, your case analysis. But you all have done it. You all were able to identify the problems. You all were able to tell me your alternative solution. So I was reading through it, and that was there. And the other thing is also, like, so you know what, when you're writing, you are doing it in ACS, and take when you write an answer but you just copy paste, please tell me from where you've taken it, right? So otherwise, write it in your own words. It's perfectly okay if you write it in your own words, because I could see, like, some of you did copy paste from straight away from the websites, and then the words were not making much sense. It was so jumbled. So even if you're copying from somewhere, please see a language whether it makes sense or not. Okay, because websites also, like when you see on the web pages, it also doesn't always have proper English. So please ensure that whether you are able to understand this or not. So that is my feedback for you, so that you can learn, you can improve upon it. Okay, now with this, what basically I'll do is I'll start with today's class, and I said that we will be starting unit 5, that is motivation. Okay, now motivation, when we actually talk of motivation, right? Motivation, we've been talking all this while from the point of view of the organization. Planning has to be done, organizing has to be done, proper leader has to be done. Who's going to do the work? That also we've discussed. We said it's the employees. There's a very good, after you finish your college, you're going to get a job in a very good organization, be it a government organization, be it a private organization. It's a very good organization. They're paying you well. But still, at times it may happen that you're leaving the job. Why are you leaving the job? That's the big question. Why? Because you don't feel comfortable there. You don't feel motivated to work there. So just, I mean, it is a good organization, but you are not motivated. You have thought that when if you join that organization, you will be able to achieve your goals. That was the idea. It's a very good organization, very good reputation, but somewhere down the line, you start getting demotivated. So when you start getting demotivated, and that's when you feel, no, I don't feel like working here. Somehow it is not, I don't feel so comfortable. I'm getting so upset. I'm not, I don't feel like working here. I don't feel like doing the work, the job. There's nothing new. So you start getting demotivated. So if you are not motivated, then it becomes difficult. And for what if you ask me what is the condition for becoming motivated, for each of us there are different reasons, different conditions, different criteria. Some want work atmosphere, some would want good colleagues, some look for jobs, the type of jobs, some look for multitasking, some look for salary. So it varies. It varies from person to person. Okay, so if we actually talk of motivation, so what is motivation? Motivation is the drive, the desire to achieve an objective. Everyone has some goals in life, but if we do not have that inner drive, that desire, the urge to do it, then even if there's a goal there, we can say, oh, there's a goal there. We want to achieve something, but your attitude, your behavior doesn't say so, then it's no use. Because why is it saying that? Because you do not feel the urge to do it. There's no urge within you, there's no motivation within you. So that's basically the thing. And for a leader or the leader of an organization, the main role is to ensure that the employees are actually motivated. That is really, really important. It's very important that the employees are really motivated. They are actually doing all the work. They are actually committed. They are feel enthusiastic. So it's up to the leader. A good leader would ensure that all his or her employees are motivated. It all depends. It tells you how good are you as a leader. If you fail, then if your employees are not motivated, if there's a huge turnover in your organization, that only means that as a leader of the organization, you are a failure. You have failed to retain your employees. Your employees do not feel comfortable working in your organization or working with you. And you have not bothered also to find out the reason. So that's basically the thing. So basically, when we talk from the point of view of the employees, so how the process, the entire process of motivation, how it goes by is there is a goal, right? But you need to feel there has to be a need to achieve that goal. There has to be a need, or as we see, a drive or an urge to achieve something. You define what you want to achieve, and you also have to have the drive within you, or the urge within you, or the need within you. And when that need is there, just I feel the need to achieve doesn't mean there has to be some incidents happening which would make you feel really interested to achieve that goal. What are these things happening? You see, there are so many opportunities coming your way. You want to achieve, you want to become, say, suppose after finishing your college, you say, I want to become a very good entrepreneur. That's there, that's your goal. And you need to feel it. How do you feel it? That, okay, I need to do a proper planning, I need to do my studies properly, I need to check what is happening. I can talk with my teachers, I'll talk with people who are already there. I need to talk with them, see what's happening. And then when we say there has to be, like, you need to be aroused, something has to happen. That's what we see as stimulus. Stimulus is something which triggers you. Triggers in the sense that, okay, in the today, like in Bhutan, there is ample scope for you to become successful as an entrepreneur. And then you actually see that, okay, there's a huge problem today. What is the major problem that we are facing today is, if you look in today's scenario, vegetable. Why? Because the borders are sealed today. Vegetable is problem. Now, if you see the market, in the market, I was reading yesterday, and you all must have seen. Also, you're aware of it. And what happens is that the price of chilies have gone up. It's shot up. Price of vegetables have gone up. Onions, potatoes, other flower, the cabbage, cauliflower, it's just shot up. Why? There's a shortage. Demand is high, supply is less, because about all this while there was a huge import of vegetables also coming from India. Now it's not there. So that's the scope. That is stimulus, as we say. Now, once you have that, then what happens? When you know that you can become an entrepreneur, and you have this incident is happening, so you know that if you can achieve this, if you become a good successful entrepreneur, and you are actually, your business is dealing with the vegetables, fresh vegetables, you are able to do that business, you are able to fulfill the needs of the society, and you're also earning huge amount of money. So what happens? You become satisfied. This is the entire process of motivation. That's how it goes about. Okay, are you clear with it? Have you all understood? Any questions? Is there any question from anyone, or is it okay?
Understood, ma'am.
It's okay. Okay, so what basically, I'll go to the next part of it, if it's okay with you all, is like importance, like why motivation is so important in today's world, as for an individual, for an organization, or where, if you are in your own personal life and you're working, why is it important? First thing that comes up is it helps. Like if you are motivated, you become active. You become active in doing your work and achieving the objectives of the organization, because you know that when the objective of the organization is achieved, your personal objective is also fulfilled. So you need to be motivated, otherwise it becomes difficult. So that's the first thing. The second thing that comes up here is, like, it also helps you to improve your efficiency level. Just having the qualification, right kind of qualification, is not enough. You are efficient, you are eligible, you have the right qualification, you can work, you are honest, everything is fine. But are you efficient? Your efficiency comes with that you have the ability, but you also should be willing to do that work. That's when you get motivated. Only if you are motivated, only if you feel to do it, will you be able to achieve it. You are capable, you have the right qualification, right skill, and you are also capable of doing that work. But if you do not feel the urge to do it, then you don't do it. What happens? We've seen cases, you see sometimes, like all around us, we have, like, we feel like we know that we are quite capable, we are eligible to do it, the work, and we have the ability. Sometimes what happens? You all also sometimes say, no, oh ma'am, it's so too much of work, it's becoming so tired, don't want to work now. Don't feel like working. So what's that? You do not have that motivation, that urge to do that work. You are capable, you have the ability, but you don't feel like. So that urge has to be there. So motivation helps you to connect your ability and your qualification to achieve the work. So that's the second thing. Okay. Now what also happens is, like, if you are really motivated, then you are able to achieve your goals. Everyone has goals in life. People want to achieve goals, certain things. But if we are not motivated, we can say, like, I want to become this, I want to become that. We say a lot of things. Are we really willing to put in that hard work? If we are not, then it doesn't make sense. Only if we really have that urge or the desire to do that, are we able to achieve the goals, our own personal goals, and also the goals of the organization. Because why am I talking of organizational goals is, if the organizational goals are not met, we as employees, our goals will also not be met. because we are part of that organization. We get paid from the organization. So that's the thing that comes up. And if we are also motivated, what happens? We would like to work in that organization. We would like to stay in that organization for a long period of time. Now, when we are up there, we want to stay there for a long period of time. That means what? There is stability. Less people are willing to leave the organization. People want to stay in that organization for a long span of time. What do they say? No, this organization is really good. I have a very good working atmosphere. Colleagues are good. There's a good understanding. My bosses are taking care, and we have a good, very good communication system. We can talk. We can give feedback. Our feedback is taken into consideration. Our problems are taken into consideration. The organization takes care of us, not just for the work, but outside work is also there, where we talk of recreation, welfare, working environment, the sanitation, the health issues. Colleges, the organization is taking care of it. So why will we not stay here? This is something where we really want to stay. And also what happens is parallelly, we do tell to others who are actually searching for jobs, okay, this is one place where we can actually start working. You all can come. I like this place and I'm happy with this place. So you all also come and join. There's enough opportunity. So through word of mouth, more and more people start joining. So and the work that the workforce of the human resources becomes much better, more diversified. So that's basically the thing that comes up. Okay. Any questions on this part? Anyone has any questions, any clarifications? Is there anyone who has any questions? Or is it
Madam, if madam could explain me, madam, if madam could explain the stability of workforce again.
sure? Now, when we talk of stability, stability means what? Stability comes from the word stable. Stable means where you are already like you are working in a place for a long period of time, and we can say an organization is stable when we see that the human resources who are up here, right? People who are working, they are working for a very long period of time. They've joined there and they are leaving the organization at the time of retirement. So that's stability, where you do not have employees leaving very fast. And that can come up only as an employee. Say, for instance, I'll give you a very simple example up here. I'm here at RTC. This is my ninth year. Why am I here for 9 years? If I was not happy with the way the work goes on, if I was not satisfied, or if I was not happy with the way the organization treats me, then I would have left long time. Then like I mean that's stability, that's instability. If I had left long time ago, the fact that I'm here for a long period of time, and this is 9 years that I'm up here, means stability comes here. I'm stable, I like it, and I prefer to work here, and I hope to work for more years to come, until of course like if there's something emergency coming up, that's a different thing. But otherwise I like the environment, work environment here. I like my colleagues who are here. That's I like them. And I know that my bosses listen to me if there's anything, any problems. They also listen to me, and if there is something new thing, new projects coming up, they ask my feedback, and that is also taken into consideration when certain decisions are made. It's made like I'm also part of it. So that's stability. So I would prefer to stay here. And there are, if you see, there are quite a lot of faculty members who are here for a long period of time. So that's where stability comes up. And if more and more people are willing to stay in an organization becomes stable. So why? Because someone who is new, who is already there in the system, knows about the system, is in a better position to ensure that the system improves, is able to give feedback, knows what the problem is able to guide new people who are coming in. Am I clear? Pema, you had a question. Uh, is this clear with you? Did you follow? Hi. Did you follow?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Right. So,
yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
okay. So let me proceed with.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I made
Okay.
notes.
Okay. Okay. Right. So let's proceed to the next part of the lecture, that is on staff motivation. Now, this is where I'm talking from the point of view of the employer. What should an employer do to ensure that the staff, your staff, is motivated? They would stay with you for a longer period of time. First, that comes up is, as the employer of the organization, we need to do a self evaluation. It's where we are very good at pointing at others, criticizing people, finding faults with others. What about us? Even me as a faculty, like, it's not that I know everything or everything is perfect with me. I know my drawbacks, I know my faults, so I need to evaluate myself. I need to also improve, so the employer also has to improve, otherwise it's difficult. So a self evaluation has to be done. The employer needs to evaluate himself or herself first. Where do they stand? What are their problems? What are the areas where they can improve, so that they can become a role model for their employees? That's the first thing. And if the employer is improving, what happens? The employees are also seeing this, and that helps. That, okay, my bosses are also like human beings like us. They also have their faults, and they also have their drawbacks, and they are also trying to improve. That helps. That really helps. Okay. The next that comes up is, like, as an employer, if you're the boss of the organization, now when new employees are being inducted in the organization, what is needed is the employer should be actively involved in that induction process. Induction means recruitment. The employer should be involved into it. Why? Because that helps. Like, when you are recruiting someone, okay, not just leave it to the HR department, but as the boss owner of the organization or the boss of the organization, you should be also involved into it to see, because it tells you also, like, it gives a clear idea, clear message that these are, I want these sort of employees, these are the criteria. And when the recruitment is happening, if I'm person as the owner of the organization, if I'm personally involved in that, means what? I'm actually seeing that, checking, making a point that I get the right kind of people, and not blame later on. And, oh, I didn't want this people, I didn't want that person, this, you are not fit. Oh, that should have been taken care of at the time of recruitment. That should have been, that should be there. And when a training is given, like when you have the orientation program happening for new faculty, new employees, the bosses of the organization should be actively involved in that. That helps. You need to guide your employees. Then the next thing that comes up is, like, as an employer, it's not that you need to be familiar with your staff. Who all are the staff? What is their background? What sort of skills do they have? What is their problem? Like, it's going beyond the professional relationship. I'm not saying getting too personal, but you need to also know a little about about your staff, about your employees. Otherwise, it becomes really difficult. If you just say, if you treat your employees as commodities, that they are here to do the work, this is the work, do it, get your money, finish, then it becomes difficult. So it really becomes difficult. So you need to be familiar with your staff, but not getting too personal. There's something, a personal life, do not encroach into their personal life, but talk to them as friends, colleagues, not as bosses and subordinates. That's there when the work is concerned, otherwise, colleagues. Okay, and a good example up here is in the Tata group, right? The Tata industry, what happens? In the Tata industry, the bosses, and the employees, they all sit together to have lunch. They have the same dress code when they enter the campus of their office. They are wearing the same dress code. When they have lunch, they are all sitting together. There's no differentiation. So if you just go there during the lunch hour, you will not even get to understand who is the boss, who's the employee. You'll never get to know. So that's what basically is where you just try to get familiar. Okay. Uh, Provide your employees with certain benefits. Now, what are these benefits that we are talking about? To reward them when they're really doing good, to provide them with some facilities in the sense is insurance. Family insurance comes into play, like when they're working overtime, give them the overtime, the bonus that comes up, overtime pay that comes up. So when you also ensure that your employees, like after work, there's some sort of entertainment for them, some sort of facilities for them that they can enjoy themselves. Say there's a recreation room where if you see big organizations have, if you see it RTC, we also have it. We have games, like very sort of games where both students are, you all participate, as well as faculty members are participating. So that's recreation, giving some benefits. So it's not just only work, there's something beyond work. That's where it comes up. Okay, now what also comes up is you have given a task to your employees are actually working. So, but there has to be, how do you know? How would your employees know whether they're doing the right kind of work or not? Who will tell them? You, as the owner, you, as the employer, you need to give them feedback at a regular interval. Now, when you give feedback, it is not, don't be very harsh. You cannot be harsh. Oh, you are worthless, you are useless. This is not, no. This is where you're doing a good job, but this is, there are certain areas where you can improve upon. But these are the areas where you can actually think about it, how to improve. This is the area where this needs a little more improvement. So you need to actually see how you address your employees. It has to be done that way so that your employees do not feel insulted, and they are also willing to work. They feel comfortable and they feel take the feedback in a positive way. So whenever you're giving a feedback, it has to be done in a very positive way, where you tell them how to improve, not criticizing. Criticizing is not feedback. That is negative. That really doesn't help an organization. Okay. uh, when your employees are actually doing a really good job, please acknowledge them. You need to acknowledge them. Now, in big organizations, what happens, there's something called employee of the month. Now, employee of the month, when we say employee of the month, that means what? The employee who has performed the best gets rewarded, gets acknowledged. But there are some other employees also who've also put in really good job. Maybe not the best, but they've also done a remarkable job. So, as the employer, as the boss of the organization, you need to acknowledge them also. Tell them that these are the one who's done the best is this person getting acknowledged, but there are quite a lot of others who've really also put in a very good effort, and you tell them, and that actually helps. It helps the employees. It gives them a positive feedback. It helps them to get motivated. It helps them to also make that the urge comes, okay, next month I'm going to put in more effort to ensure that I become the employee of the month. That is important. Okay. Okay, the next that comes up is where we actually talk of the time management. We are talking of time management. That is, you know what, where everything that has to be done, every work that has to be done. So you cannot ask your employees that you go on continuing every time. No, there is something which we call as closed hours, something which we call as open hours. Like when a work is there, like if I could, before I explain this, if I could just tell you what happens is, if, say, for when you were in the class at RTC, when you were doing in your class in 8:34, in between two classes there was 10 minutes gap. That 10 minutes gap is open hour, where you can talk, you go to the washroom and you relax, you sit, have a cup of coffee, talk with your friends, and that's it. And the rest of the time, once the class starts, that's closed hour, where you're doing the work. What is the work that you're doing it here? The module that is being taught in the class, you're working there, you're working, going about listening listening to the class, doing the work, what is being asked, you're writing things. So that is closed hours. Same thing should be there in the organization. As the boss of the company, you cannot expect your employees to go on continuously working. They are not robots. They need to have some free hours where they can talk. But that doesn't mean that people are just talking and not working. So clear definition has to be there. What are the closed hours? What are the open hours? Closed hours where everyone should be doing their work, totally committed, dedicated to the work. And then open hours, that's the free hours where you talk, relax, discuss, have a cup of coffee, chat, and then you get freshened up and then you're back to work. That's also important. Okay, now what is also important up here is where we talk of there has to be some, when we work in an organization, right, anywhere, like even as students, when you're working, sometimes we get stressed out, too much of work. We do not know, a lot of things are coming together. Like today in the morning when I was talking with some of you, you had said that, madam, working on the internet, like when we sit on the computers for a long period of time, so it's really stressful. Of course it's stressful for you, it's stressful for us also when we are sitting here on the computer for a longer span of time. It's stressed. What happens? So what RTC has done is to relieve that stresses every morning. We have an hour where for the staff and faculty some yoga classes are going on in the playground where you all don't know because you all are not here, but it is happening. So people are actually going there to relax. Some of us who are finding it difficult to go, because I find it difficult to go up there because of my health issues. I do my yoga at home, relax. Sometimes I read books to relax, or just go for a small walk here close by just to relax. So that facility, so the organization, any organization should have some stress relieving techniques. The employer or the boss has to ensure that employees, they are working, they get stretched out. There has to be some stress relieving mechanism, some techniques that varies. The organization has to decide how to do it. Maybe some meditation, maybe yoga classes happening, and then you get relaxed. Okay, and the next thing that comes up is where I said you should not treat your employees as commodities. What you should do is you should be respecting the rights of your employees. They are human beings. Respect their rights, respect their views. Should be able, you ensure that they are able to share their opinion, they are able to share their views. And also, you should respect their time. Certain time is only for them. Don't go on encroaching into all that always, and don't just go on encroaching. Oh, what are you doing? What is, they have really, leave them. They're up there, they're working, they're talking with you, everything, but time with, there's something called personal life. Don't try to encroach into their personal life. There's something, that time is for them. Once you leave the office, your employees have left the office for the day, don't just call them at 10 o'clock at night and start saying, oh, you have to do this, you have not. That is not the time. That is the time for their own family. That is where you need to respect your employees, treat them as human beings, give them ample opportunity to so that they're able to share their views, check their feedbacks, take that into account, and respect their time also. What also comes up here is what we say is another thing, that give opportunities for employees to learn. That is where I was coming by when I said, how do you get to know? You get to know when, if you are part, if you know your staff, your employees really well, if you know what skills they are having, what skills they lack, and if you are also actively involved into the recruitment process, so you get to know what skills is needed for your employees, which employee needs what type of skills, and provide that skills for your employees. Provide ample facilities for your employees to learn. Give them that scope. If you give them scope, if there is, and that training can be done in-house training where you call an expert and they come and give a training, or you send them somewhere, to some other organization and they get that training. That can also be there. So it can be anything. Or there is someone who's in your organization who has acquired that training, and you ask the person to train the others. So this is how you can actually go about with it. Now, what also, as I said at the beginning, that if we are able to self-evaluate ourselves, we should be able to set an example to our employees. We should be the role model for our employees, whom our employees look up to. That needs to be done. When you meet your employees, don't be rude and just behave as if you're the boss of the organization and oh, you're looking down at them. Smile, acknowledge, say just basic thing, good morning, or how are you? Just a smile, just a nod makes things better. Things makes the thing the atmosphere becomes quite friendly at that time. Listen to your employees what they have to say. Listen very, very carefully. If you're listening to your employees, what happens? They would also feel very happy that okay, my my boss is listening to me. That's it could be anything. Don't show your irritation. Maybe at times, some of the employees some persons can come up with phone nagging, saying the same thing on and on and again. That's there, but don't show it on the face. They get demotivated. Listen, listen and handle it properly so that your employees do not feel upset about it. Okay. Encourage your employees to come up with new ideas. Encourage them to become that, in other words, to become creative, new ideas, because the organization has to grow. If you just stick with your one same sort of business throughout the 10 years, after that, what happens? There are so many competitors. How are you going to grow? You're going to crash down. New ideas is needed. And yourself, one person, how much can you think all by yourself? Encourage your employees, talk to them, encourage them to come up with something new, and actually acknowledge it when they come up with some new ideas. That should be there. That freedom should be there. That opportunity should be there. Okay. Uh, as a good employer, try to be flexible. Flexible in the sense is, of course, you're the best. That's why you are there at the top. But you should be willing to listen to what others have to say. Don't be very rigid. And no, 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 no. What you're saying is not correct. What I'm saying, that's the final thing. That is not the thing. Sorry. Uh, Job, like if you are into a job, right? Say if you enter once you finish your college, if you go and start working in an organization, and for 10 years you're doing the same work, there's no change, you're bound to get very, very disheartened. You're bound to get bored. So what the boss has to do is to ensure there is a job rotation, there is an improvement in the quality of the job that you're doing, or like let's say multiple tasking, so where the quality of work becomes much better. That is the responsibility of the boss of the organization, of the employer of the organization. Okay, and the other thing that comes up here is where you should respect your team members. Respect your team members. Why? As I said, that individually we can be the best. Are we really good when we work together? Egos come into play, conflicts come into play. I'm the best, you are not the best. I know what is best. That is not how it goes. When you work as a team, it's everyone together. If there are 15 people, all 15 are equally capable. There's no one called boss and a subordinate. Of course, someone is leading. But when you work together, it has to be together, coordination and cooperation, and respect, mutual respect for each other has to be there. Then only things work. Okay. Any questions up here? Anyone has any clarifications?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Then what I'll do is, if you, yes, question, any question?
No, ma'am. All clear.
Okay. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just go to the next part, that is to have a very good effective motivation as the owner of the organization, to have a very good effective motivation in your organization. What are some of the things that has to be done? Okay, salary is really important. providing good package, salary is important, but that is not the only thing. That is not enough. There has to be some other things which is also there. First, that comes up is other than the salary, there's something called reward. Reward your staff based on their performance. This is where we talk about annual appraisal, performance appraisal. Every organization has this. Performance appraisal does take place. Those who are really doing well, reward them. Promotions happen based on the performance. That should be there. That motivates everyone. Those who have not been working properly, they will also get motivated. Okay, so there is a reward. There's something, there's some incentive which is there. That makes you motivated. Okay, complimenting your employees. Okay, compliment in the sense is when we actually, when someone is really, as I said, someone is really doing a really good job, so just congratulate, acknowledge the person. May not be the best, but someone is really doing good, or someone is putting in a good effort, who was not doing a good job before, was not putting in effort, but now they're putting in a good effort. Acknowledge it. It doesn't help, it doesn't really make any difference, or it doesn't harm you if you just acknowledge. You're not going to lose anything as the employer of the organization if you acknowledge your employees work. It helps you in the long run, helps your organization in the long run. Okay, any decision that is being made, be very, very transparent about it with your employees. Certain decisions, certain cannot be shared with the employees. Say when the strategy is being formulated, everyone does not get involved into it, only the top management is there. But when based on the strategy some decisions are being made, that you should be very much transparent with your organization, saying that with your employees that this is where we made the decision, we made this change because of the changes that's coming up, we felt this, so employees are also on the same page. uh, Help your employees to develop their, what we say is having a proper structure for personal development program, PDP. Personal development program is where it's development of skills. Now skills could be hard skills, skills could be soft skills. Hard skills is what we see. That is, if you are working for the marketing department, you need to have certain skills to convince the customers. You should be able to sell your products. So these are the skills that you need. You should be able to talk, convince. Soft skills talks of your behavior, your attitude, how you talk, how you behave, how you handle things, how you handle stress. So these are the soft skills which we really do not see when we see a person. So that helps. Both the hard skills and the soft skills helps an individual to develop. So there has to be a proper personality development program, and accordingly see which employee needs what sort of improvement. That has to be there. Encourage participation from your employees. Participation is where you have your employees forum where they are allowed to speak whatever that comes to their mind. If there's something which is good for the organization, if your employee feel, even if the employee is someone, say let's say some a very the support staff of the organization, still they should be allowed to talk, they should be allowed to speak up that they are facing some problems, some issues which they feel the organization can improve upon. They should be allowed to talk, they should be allowed to say. That helps, everyone feels happy about it. Okay. And now, when we actually talk of these, we've been talking about motivation, importance from the employee's point of view, what has to be done, from the employer's point of view, what has to be done. We talk also from the organization's point of view. There are some challenges, of course. These were something which we are talking something positive, but there are some challenges, some hurdles that comes up in an organization when you try to create a good motivational atmosphere. The first that comes up is, what's a first big challenge that comes up is the workforce is diverse. Diversifying workforce, people are from different backgrounds, different places, different social background, different academic background, different family background, different countries, different culture, different skills, different outlook. That's the problem. How would you ensure that everyone gets motivated? How would you ensure that everyone is on the same page? You find it difficult to work. Like when you first joined RTC and when you met your friends, it was difficult. You couldn't make friends. Some of your friends you already knew from school, others were totally new for you. And you found it sometimes you found it difficult to talk because you're coming from different backgrounds, different places. So how would you ensure that you're on the same page? How do you do it? Now at the second semester, you're more comfortable. So that's the challenge of the organization. How to manage the diversifying workforce. That is really important. So different people get motivated in different ways. So organization has to come up with a proper mechanism which would help employees to get motivated, even though they come from different backgrounds or they have different needs or different types of motivation, different types of goals. Sometimes what happens is the motives of the employees, it's very difficult to actually find out why. We are talking when a project comes up from the organization's point of view, it's a project and it's a team who's working, team's objectives, team has to achieve the organization's motive. That's why the project is there. This is where you achieve. What about the individual achievements? What about the motives of individual employees? Are we really able to take care of it? Sometimes it gets neglected. That's another challenge. The individual aspirations of the employees may not be actually visible for us. Why? It becomes difficult. Sometimes we are that's the reason why, as an employer, sometimes we are able to motivate all the employees. Sometimes we are able to motivate few, and the others are not getting motivated because we fail to see it. This is not a fault of the employer. This is a challenge. Why? Because from the employer's point of view, he or she is thinking of the entire organization from it's a much more macro perspective, holistic perspective, and not micro perspective. Micro, you all are studying microeconomics, so micro means more specific. Micro, individual employees, it's difficult. If it's there are say 2,000 employees working, it's really difficult for the employer to actually have an interaction, one-to-one interaction. It's really difficult. So that's a challenge. Now, what also happens is, uh, when you have the, say for instance, what happens is if you, we have been talking about the chain of the wider scale of operation, right? When we have a wider scale of operation means we have more people working under us. That also becomes problem when we have rather it is much more easier if you have a narrow span of control where you have less people to control, less people to monitor. It becomes easier when big organizations, there's a huge number of people who are working. Or also that can come up is like what happens if you have more people to actually answer to when there are multiple bosses. That becomes challenge. It's really difficult. You fail to get motivated and you don't know what to do. That's a problem. So the level of hierarchy also matters. How many people are up there above you? How many people are there below you? That makes a lot of difference. It really makes a lot of difference. Okay, and sometimes what happens is, as the employer, what do we do if we find it difficult to handle employees? What do we do? What do we see? Big organizations, what do we do? They downsize the organization. Downsize means just throw employees out, throw them out of jobs. Why are they doing it? Why? Because they're saying too many people are up here. Too many people are up here, and that actually also demotivates certain people. Like good, eligible employees are also getting thrown out. Why is it? Because you are not able to handle it. You as the boss, you are not able to handle it. So that's a big challenge for the leader. Okay, there's also something which happens is the last thing that actually comes up here is the diverse needs and expectations. Every employee have their own needs, own expectations, right? And that keeps on changing. It keeps on changing. Sometimes it is clashing with each other. Say that becomes really it becomes really clashing with each other in the sense. Say for instance, you as an employee, if you go into a very good organization, you're putting in effort, you're trying to impress your bosses, you're putting in effort, getting like promotions, getting incentives, you become the employee of the month, and at some point you feel that your personal life is getting hampered. There's no time for your family, no time for your friends, no time for relaxation. So that's the clash that comes up. That's also something which is there. And this is something which is not just applicable for the employees, but also for the employer. So that's a big challenge which an organization has to face. How to manage your time? How would you do it so that your needs and expectations can should be is both from the professional needs as well as your personal needs, family needs. How would you balance it? Okay. Uh, that's from all from my side. Any questions from your side? Is there anyone who has any questions?
Madam,
Yes, tell me.
please can you repeat the last point, ma'am? There's drivers' needs and expectations.
Yes, sure. Uh, okay. Now, diverse needs and expectation is as an individual, be it an employer, be it an employee, right? So what happens when you join? Like, I'll give my explanation because I'm working. I'll give my case. It'll be easy for you to understand. Now, when I came to work here at RTC, of course, what happened? I was being told what do I have to do to achieve, and I've seen like so that okay, these are the things that I have to do, and I've also seen that when I put in work, I get appreciated, and I start working, right? And at some point, like I became very workaholic. Sorry, I became workaholic where I started working, and even working even in the evenings, working, trying to do things, trying to do that, but it's professional achievements. At some point, I was also getting tired. There was no time for my own personal needs, own personal growth. There was no time for me, for my friends. That's also there. My personal needs, my family needs. And when I was talking with my family, I used to get very irritated at times. When I used to go home for my break, I used to take work from college. I used to work, and I could feel at time that my entire thing is on the work. I was giving less time to my family, which is also needed. I was giving less time to my friends. And at sometimes I felt, oh God, I need a break. I need to relax. This is where the clash comes up. In other words, now it's in a better situation where I know how to balance. Do my work. What I do right now is whatever work I have for my work at the college, I finish it up in the college. And evening time is my own personal work, for my own personal relaxation, for my friends, my reading books, listening to music, working, or doing my own studies, something by myself, or talking to family. So that balance, I'm talking of that balance, the clash that comes up. And it could be as the employer, it could be a problem with the employee also. Why is this done? Because to achieve something, so we forget that in order to achieve one, we are neglecting the other. There are so many things which are equally important. So we need to balance it. Is it clear, Kinley? Kinley, are you
Yes, ma'am.
clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else has any questions? Is there anyone with any other questions? Uh,
No,
or
ma'am,
have
no
you?
questions.
Okay. Now, if you do not have any other question, what I want you to do is, like we will be closing this session right now. You will actually go to your Google Classroom and answer the questions based on today's class that is there. And all of you need to submit this by 1 p.m. Okay, please ensure everyone is doing this because we have to give a report to who is doing the work, who's not doing the work. And before you actually leave the finish today's meeting, something Himal Guru, I know you are there today. You have not done any of your assessments. Kindly submit that, otherwise you're going to fail this semester. Right? And Rashid Biswa, you have not submitted your class participation answers. So please, I told you all yesterday, please do that and kindly take these the question and the classes that is going on, and also these practice questions which is there. Please take this very seriously, because at the end of today's class, I will have to give a report who all are there, who all were not there. So because the list, even when the video call is going on, I can see the names of the students who have been here, and also when you write the answers. Okay, is it clear with all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
right. So I will just we will finish the class today, and we